Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
Oh God, help me, Jesus!
So for my June One That Got Away, I've got a very special double feature, especially considering the fact that we are celebrating BookCon 2019. I thought that it would be appropriate to talk about two specific movies that are based on two of the most popular contemporary novels of the last decade. Now, you guys have been watching my show, so you know that when it comes to me reading books, I'm really not a contemporary fan, but I did feel that seeing the movies would at least give me a little bit of insight as to why these specific books are so popular. And one of the few things that I want to specifically say to all of you from the BookTube community, if you do in fact watch this video, I would love for you guys to comment. I would love for you to have a discussion with me if you feel that I might have missed something very important. And I would also like to know if you feel these books are better than the films, or if the films are possibly better than the books, and why you feel that way. I just feel that this would be an excellent time for that kind of a discussion. So the first movie in this double feature is Love, Simon. Of course, this is based on the famous Becky Albertalli book, Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda. It was directed by Greg Berlanti, who has given us the DC television universe. It stars Nick Robinson, X-Men's Alexandra Shipp, Jennifer Garner, Josh Duhamel, Tony Hale, and even from Greg Berlanti's DC world, Kenyon Lonsdale from The Flash. So this is the story of a boy named Simon who is living in a typical suburban town. He has a good life, he's doing well in school, he's got a great group of friends, he gets along with his family perfectly. But there's one little secret that he has that he is hiding from the world because he's afraid that it's going to turn it all upside down. And that is the fact that Simon is gay. But on the community/school website, he finds out that there is another guy in his school that is also afraid to come out to people that he cares about, and he goes by the alias Blue. So the two of them start up a conversation in emails, and throughout that entire time, Simon is trying to find out who Blue is. And then, due to some unexpected circumstances, before Blue is even found, Simon is called out by someone in his school, and Simon has no idea, after that secret is out, how people are going to feel, and more importantly, how he is going to pick up these pieces. So I will say, first off, that this movie is incredibly charming. It's got great characters, it's got a great pace, it's got a great soundtrack from Rob Simonson, as well as some other great songs throughout the entire film, especially one of my personal favorite bands, the 1975. It also, to me, has a very John Hughes vibe, and I feel that if John Hughes was in fact alive today, this might have been a movie that he would have considered directing. Would it have been the same movie? I don't know. Would it possibly even be a little bit more connected to the book? Maybe, because a lot of people who I know who love this book have said that the movie has got a lot of differences compared to the book. And it is a good watch. It's got some amazing emotions. I mean, the moment where he comes out to his family, and especially when Simon has that small conversation with his father, it's just one of the most beautiful things in the world. And as someone who is a straight white male, even I could find something truly special in that, because I'm not gay. But one of the few things that I do know is that when you have a true heart-to-heart talk with your father, especially when it comes to certain things and certain decisions that you made that you feel that he might not agree with you on, the most important thing is the fact that you had that conversation and you both understand each other. So to me, that's very relatable. But one of the major downsides in regards to this movie is the fact that most of it feels so over the top and exaggerated. There are so many things that happen in this movie that just don't happen in the real world. Maybe it's just supposed to be a story point saying that kids can over-exaggerate life, which is true at most points in time. But there was just so much of it that just seemed so unbelievable to me, and that's unfortunate because it took a great deal away from this movie as a whole. And at the end of the day, you pretty much get the cliche ending, and also to a degree, it did seem very predictable. I kind of felt who I knew Blue was pretty much right after I found Blue's introduction into the movie. I'm glad that it was the person I thought it was, which was great, but at the end of the day, I just felt at the end that this movie really wasn't the groundbreaking movie that most people hoped that it would be. I mean, it did have its niche market. People who loved the book did go to see it, but it didn't make the money that people wanted it to. But that's not necessarily saying that this is a bad movie. It's an enjoyable movie. It's got a ton of heart, and especially if you are a fan of the book, it is definitely something that you can get on board with. It's not a movie that I'd want to see again, and it's not a movie that I want to get on DVD, but I am going to say that I'm very proud that I saw it, and I'm going to give Love, Simon 2.5 stars out of 4. The next movie that I saw is based on one of the best-selling books of the last 2 years, and that is The Hate U Give, written by Angie Thomas, and this movie has a stellar cast, including Amanda Stenberg, Riverdale's KJ Apa, Black Monday's Regina Hall, Common, Anthony Mackie, and Algie Smith from one of my favorite movies, Detroit, which if you haven't seen, you must. Also, if you're a Girl Meets World fan, Sabrina Carpenter is in this movie, so we've got a stellar cast in this movie. Now, if you've read The Hate U Give, you know exactly what this movie is about. Basically, this girl named Star lives in the poor black neighborhood, and she is sent to a rich area of the neighborhood private school where she is basically the only black girl in the school along with her brothers. She also has a relationship with a boy named Chris, who of course is white, and she's basically living 2 lives. And one day when she's at a party, she meets up with an old childhood friend named Khalil. And when the two of them are on their way home from the party, they are stopped by a white police officer, and due to some serious misjudgments, the cop shoots Khalil, and then Star's world is completely rocked. This movie is without a doubt one of the more powerful movies that I have seen, and one of the few things that I am absolutely stunned by is the fact that this movie got absolutely no Oscar accolades at all. Was I anticipating any of these actors to get nominated? Absolutely not. But would I expect this movie to get nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay? Oh, you better believe it, because this movie was so heavy-hitting. It was so important, and even though I am not entirely on board with the message and the side that this movie takes, it's not that I don't want to understand where they're coming from. One of the few very positive things about this movie is, yes, while it does show things like the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as the serious injustices when it comes to people of color being gunned down by white police officers, one of the more important things that was shown in this movie was it was not overly preachy. It was just here to show you what's going on. It is here to show you the perspectives of people who witness it, or just by seeing it and seeing how the media takes the story. It's such a very important thing because it is something that is happening in this world way too often, and all these different people who try to tell a certain event in so many different ways makes people not seem to understand, and through that there are misjudgments, there is violence, there are protests, there is so many things that could go from bad to worse because of the fact that all of these things happen oh so fast. There are no opportunities for people to even sit down and try to discuss these matters, and more importantly, try to change things. Whether you are someone who is a Second Amendment purist, whether you are someone who is a member of the Black Lives Matter movement, we are 2 completely different sides that are ever becoming more divided, and there seems to be no way at this point for us to unite. But a movie like The Hate U Give is a bridge. It is not to make people think that all white people are monsters. It is not a way to say that all black people are possible criminals. That is not what this movie represents. It's a powerful, well-acted, well-told story that is just trying to let you know that this is what's happening in our world today, and things have to change. Is it a movie that I would want to see again? I feel that this is a movie that should be seen by everybody. This is a movie that should be shown in schools across the nation, maybe even across the world, because it's not a matter of black or white. It's just a matter of perception of people. That's the true message of this film, and people put on masks and people don't want to show their real selves to certain groups of people because they just don't want them to be thought of in different ways. Stereotypes, broad brushes, you name it, it's all in this movie. But it's not a movie that I want to get on DVD because I just don't think that it's a movie that I would see that many times. But I feel that one day I will go back to this movie because I do think that it is just that important, and I feel that you should all see it. Be it Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, it doesn't matter. This movie is important and it should be seen. I'm giving The Hate U Give a very powerful 3.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below and let's discuss Love, Simon, The Hate U Give, both, or neither. And I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.